with 4 topics. Today, we'll be dealing with 4 topics, that is office in block 4, office communication and correspondence, records management, office reports, and as well as forms management. So first we will try to discuss what is office communication and correspondence. Now, when we talk about communication, communication is basically the process of conveying messages, Now, when we talk to one another, we are conveying messages that now when we are in this class, I am conveying the information to you. So that is when two people talk, that is can termed as a conveying of messages. Now this conveying of messages can be of various types and various modes. So the basic important point here to remember is, what is communication? Communication is the process of conveying messages. Now, if you don't have communication, what will it be? Yeah, without communication also, without conveying messages, can we survive? No. If two people want to survive, they have to communicate with each other. That is, exchange of ideas, exchange of thoughts, exchange of information has to be done. Now, this communication may be verbally, non-verbally as well. So, verbal communication is now whatever we are exchanging, the words is can be termed as the verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is through papers, that is through texting messages, or we can say through letters or through symbols, gestures. This can be termed as non-verbal communications. Now, for all this, we can just say that now for the survival of the organizations, for the development of the organizations, or for the development of the mankind in every way, we can say that communication is the bloodstream. The communication, the exchange of words, the conveying of messages plays a very, very important role. And we can say it is a bloodstream of the organization. If we take organization in the government departments, if we take organizations in the private sector, wherever we take, the communication plays a very, very important role. And we can say that, and there is no doubt saying that communication is the bloodstream of the organization. So we can say that communication plays a very important role or the vital role. Now, through this communication, how it will be done? Communication is a process. So, what will be the communication process? The communication process has 6 steps. The communication process involves 6 steps. The first one is ideation, second is encoding, third is transmission, 4 receiving, 5 decoding, and 6 is acting. First, I'll once again repeat the communication process. The first one is ideation, second is encoding, 3 transmission, 4 receiving, 5 decoding, 6 acting. Now, what is ideation? First, we will talk about ideation. Then we will move on to the other steps. The first step involved in the communication process is known as ideation. Now, what is ideation? Conceiving of ideas or contents by the communicator and sender. That is, exchange of ideas, exchange of thoughts, and bringing everything onto one platform. Now, when we attend a class, when we attend a meeting, when we talk to some people, everybody come out with their opinions, come out with their suggestions. Now, these suggestions will be exchanged between one and another. And when all of them are being compiled together, that is ideation of the thoughts, ideation, that is bringing all the ideas, that can be termed as ideation. So in the communication process, it is the first step, ideation, that is bringing on the all the ideas onto the one platform, that are the opinions, suggestions, whatever it might be. Then the second one is encoding. Encoding is conversion of ideas into coded forms, such as symbols, gestures, all this. Now, encoding is the exchange or conversion of these ideas. Now, when we talk to each other, when we want to text to somebody else, we use symbols, we use some gestures when we convey something. Then this is encoding of the information, encoding of the information what is being sent by one person to the other person. Then third one is transmission, that is transfer of ideas from communicator to communicatee. Now here, transmission of ideas. Now this class is the transmission of ideas, that is I am the communicator and you are the student is the communicatee. So I am transmitting my ideas, I am transmitting my thoughts to you. This is the transmission process. This can be, now this transmission of ideas, this transmission of things can be visual, can be audio, or can be audio visual as well. Now this online class is an audio visual transmission where I am the communicator and you are the where we are communicating with each other through this visual audio visual class, that is known as the transmission. So this type of communication plays a very important role, whereby clearing the thoughts, clearing the or transfer of information in a clear cut manner, that is exchange of ideas in a very clear manner. Then the fourth one is receiving of information, receiving information received fully corresponds to what is ideated. Now, when we talk, I have taken the example of a meeting, or when everybody come together, coming out with ideas, then they are encoded, then they are transmitted, then they are to be received. Means what all ideas have been put together, they have to be given to the person in a perfect manner. That is the receiving. That is, now you all are at the receiving end. The students are at the receiving end. So what all information is being gathered and has to be given to you in a perfect format. That is the receiving of information or receiving in the communication process. Then the next is decoding. Decoding, coded forms are decoded. That is, now a symbol has to be decoded. Now, if somebody just sends, nowadays we all talk in the emojis, that is, their emoji, a smile of the smile of an emoji smile will, if a person sends an emoji smile, then the opposite person will understand that he is complimenting him. He is giving him another some of the, he is sharing the happiness with him. Likewise, the gestures that do question marks, or they say that if just they put a question mark, then it says that they are asking a question. Then when it can be decoded, you have to answer it. That is the decoding. Encoding is a exclamatory mark, a question mark. All these are the encoding. Then decoding is when this is being sent to the opposite person, the opposite person decodes it, means he understands it, what has to be, how it has to be understood. So It is the question mark is sent means they are asking something. What is this? Questioning. So encoding. That is the encoding can be decoded. Then the last one is the sixth step is acting. Acting is action, result of communication. That is, when a question is asked, when you reciprocate to that question in giving answers, that is termed as acting. Because when they are, when a person, when the opposite person gives a reciprocation through the action, that is acting. So this is the communication process. This involves 6 steps. The first one is ideation, encoding, transmission, receiving, decoding, and acting. Then we have the next subheading in communication is types of communications. Now, there are different types of communication. What are they? There are these types of communications are 3 types. They are the first one is relationship, second is level of direction, third is means. Now, what do we understand by the first one in the types of communication? Relationship. Relationship is how a person interacts with the opposite person. It can be formal communication or informal communication. Now, what is the formal communication? A meeting, and an interaction with one another in a meeting is the formal communication. So, informal communication. So somebody is asking me this, what is this chapter? This chapter is in block 4, unit 7, office communication and correspondence. Unit 7, office communication and correspondence is a topic which I am discussing right now. This is in block 4. So now I'll would like to continue the class. So we are talking about the types of communications. In this types of communications, here we have relationship, levels of levels of direction, and means. In this, the first one is relationship. In relationship, we have formal communication and informal communication. Formal meetings, a meeting, a seminar. This can be termed, can be taken as the examples of formal communications, where there will be a systematic procedure to follow how to communicate with one another. There will be a protocol to follow. There will be a systematical procedure to be followed. Interview, face-to-face interview, a virtual interview, everything. This can be termed as an formal communication. Then we have informal communication. Informal communication is when two colleagues sit in a meeting, this can be termed as a formal communication. When these two colleagues sit in a cafe on a coffee, then that can be termed as, and when they discuss about the office only, when they discuss about the planning of the office organizations, then this can be termed as an informal meeting, where there will be no systematic procedures to be followed. So they can just informally understand each other and come out with an idea. And moreover, we see that formal communications it will be done in a very strict manner and all the protocols, but and the results might be less. Why? Because hesitation might be, as I we can say that there might be very advantages and as well as disadvantages of formal meeting and as well as informal communications. When we talk about formal things, we can say that the formal advantageous part is everybody will be on time, Everybody will follow the protocol. Everybody will come prepared to the meeting, and everybody will come out with what has to be done, how it has to be done. Everything will be in a planned manner. But as well as there are some disadvantages. The disadvantages can be that is, in a formal meeting, the subordinates may not be having that independence to come out with their ideas in front of the superordinates, because they might feel low, they might feel that they are not prepared, or nobody will acknowledge their ideas, and they may not be having that free mindset to address the things. And this can create some type of disturbances in the meeting as well, because it might not give a clear understanding between or transferring of information between the superordinates and the subordinates, where we have informal communication as well. Now, what is this informal? As I told you, in the meeting, and after in the meeting itself, when they have a tea break, or when they are having the lunch break, everybody interact with each other. When they interact with each other, or when they catch up in a cafe on a coffee, in an informal meeting, then there will be no bossy thing. That is, there will be no superordinate or a subordinate, and everybody will feel that we are one and we are working for one organization. So the exchange of ideas might have a more space to come out. So this, we can say that the informal meeting also plays a very important role in the development of the organization, and it can also have a communication process. This can be termed as a relationship type of communication. Then the second one is level of directions. In this level of directions, we have vertical, horizontal. Vertical and horizontal. That is, vertical is in this upward and downward. That is, what the information is shared from the subordinates to the superordinates. That can be the vertical in the downward and upward sharing of information or in communication. And we have the horizontal one. Horizontal is the information or the communication shared between two colleagues, two departments, two organizations, that is, can be on the same level. That can be termed as an horizontal communication. Then we have means of communications. Means of communications can be oral or written. Now, this, when two persons interact with one another orally, that is verbally, can be termed as the means of communication, oral means of communication. The second one is written communication. Written means when a letter, a text message, a government geo, all these, an appointment letter, a resignation letter, all these can be termed as method means of communication in a written format, where in a written format, an email, in a written format, the exchange of thoughts, exchange of ideas, exchange of communication takes place. That is the means of communication in the written format. So these are the types of communications. Then we have, nowadays when we see, there are many communication devices which are, because we have to just say, thanks to the information technology, which has boosted the communication system, and it has made communication very easy, very easy. Because previously, when we had to talk to a person far away, we had to just book a trunk call, or we have to send mail. Postal services were used, and There used to be lot of time taking process, cumbersome procedures to be followed. This all were the way back things. But nowadays, the usage of more of information technology, usage of these communication devices, we are using the exchange of ideas, exchange of thoughts has come up very easy, and it is a very easy task. To name a few, these communication devices, we can take the best example is the cell phone or the mobile phone, what we are using in the today's scenario. Now, the without a mobile phone, we nobody is living or surviving, because of what all information has to be received or has to be transmitted to the opposite person. The mobile phone is helping in a wider manner. That after mobile phones, we have the cell telephones, internet, all this through internet. Now the class what we are attending today is through internet only. Because of this, through internet we are able to connect with one and another, and moreover, through this internet facility we are able to connect with everybody globally. Hence now we can say that we are in a global village where each one of them is connected to one and another. That we sitting here only, we can talk to the persons residing in UK, USA, anywhere in foreign countries, sitting at one place only. So these are the most important communication devices. So now we have some barriers of communication also. Now, what are these barriers? Barriers means the obstacles which the communication, when we go for communication, there might be some barriers as well. There might be some obstacles as well where there cannot be good communication process. That is, the first one is content. If the content is not proper, if the information what they have shared is not proper, then there might be a confusion in the opposite sides or the sides, and there can create some chaos in the system. Then the second one is transmission. The transmission is the if the transmission, the whatever the opposite person is trying to explain, is trying to transfer the ideas, if it is not clear enough, then the opposite person may not be able to understand properly, and it might create some disturbances which might lead to some misunderstandings in the conversation, and things might not be able to work in the positive manner. So this can be a major obstacle for the communication process to go on. This can be the another important one. Then the third and important one is human. We all know when two persons talk, the communication whatever occurs between the A and B person, the same information will not be transferred between B and C person. So this is the human psychology where the human being may not be able to transfer the exact information from A person to the C person if the B person is the middleman. There might be little deviation which might create some disturbances. So human being's role, the human nature, human tendency also plays as a very big obstacle in the communication process. So this is all about the communication. Then we will move on to the second topic, Unit 8, that is records management. Now, what do we understand this by the word, by the term record. Record refers to record refers to the vast bulk of correspondence and other type of documents which are created, received and stored in an organization. That is, now once again I'll read out the sentence. What is a record? Record refers to the vast bulk of correspondence and other type of documents which one has to be created, which one created, received and stored in an organization. In an organization. Now, I'll give you the better example. Now, we can take our university as our example, where now, when you take admission, when you, as a student, when you take admission in the first year, first, they will give you a form to fill up. They'll take your information. Later on, that information which you have given, the student has given, will be stored and will be the university receives the information and it will keep the information with them till you pass out from that university. And every year as you move on from first year to the second year to the final year, all the information regarding the student, that is, in how many exams you have written, in how many exams you have excelled, you have passed, and how many backlogs are there, whether you have paid the fees or not paid the fees, at what time you have paid the fees, at what time you have to receive the memo, all this. So each student's information, you will be getting a roll number, you will be contacted through your mobile number. Now, all this information of a student can be termed as a record of that student. So, at the time of the completion of your course, when you are leaving, the university will give you the rightful information which is needed for you for your further reference. That is, your memos, your bona fides, or your transfer certificates, your documents, whatever are needed for you, and also your original degree, provisional certificates, your original degrees, all this, the acknowledgements of your fee receipts. Now everything will be stored, that is termed as documented. So likewise, each one of the students' record will be maintained in the university. Now, maintaining of all the records in the organization in a systematical manner is termed as record management. The record management will be quarterly, half yearly, yearly, and as well as and where the yearly, every year the records will be maintained. So, record management plays a very, very important role in the development and in the, because if the organization does not maintain the records, then the organization might not be having the thing to survive, because if anybody comes and asks the information and if they are unable to give the rightful information, then they cannot work properly, because then there will be a misconception that they are lacking that sincerity. So the records management plays a very, very important role in the development of the organization and in the few reaching the organizational goals. So this is the records management. Now, what are the steps involved in the records management? What can be what can be the importance of this records management? Now, the records management, we have some steps to be followed. The first one is creation, second, classification, third, transfer, four, maintenance, five, preservation, six, review and weeding. Once again, I am repeating the steps involved in the record management. First is creation, two, classification, three, transfer, four, maintenance, five, preservation, and six is review and weeding. Now, for one by one, we will discuss. First one is creation. Creation is now how to when the data comes to the organization, that is the creation of the data. When the data comes to the organization, then the second one is classification. Classification is bifurcation of the data. Bifurcation of the data. Now, I will take, as I have taken our university as an example, now I'll explain you the steps involved in this records management, taking the university only as an example. Now, the first one, what we discussed is the creation. Creation is the university creates a portal and for admissions, and all the admissions can be received in that. Whoever wants to apply can apply in that portal. That is termed as the creation of the information, creating of the record, the creating a portal for the admissions. That is the, we can say, the creation. Then we have the second one, the classification. Classification is now the students who have taken admission in the portal will not be in the same system. They will be bifurcated. How? Based on their courses, all this, they will be bifurcated. That is, BA students, BA admissions will be put one side, and the BSc admissions, BCom admissions, like that, all the students will be bifurcated. That can be classified, whereby to simplify the sharing of information and maintaining of the records. Because if a BA student is there in the same file, BSc student is in the same file, then they may not be able to maintain that record in a proper manner. So, and the students will also feel compressed, or they feel that this is a cumbersome procedure. So, there will be a classification of this records. Then we'll have the transfer of records. After classification, the transfer of information to the concerned departments. That is, the BA students list will go to the BA departments, BSc to the BSc departments, BCom to the BCom departments. That is, transfer of information to the departments, whereby they can, the departments will have a clear picture of how many students have joined the university in that particular stream. That is transfer. Now, maintenance. Next is maintenance. That, as I told you, from the date and time of the communication, that is admission, till the when you pass out from the university, all the record will be maintained in one file. That is, like that, hundreds of students' files will be maintained by the university. That is termed as maintenance. Then we have preservation. Now, this all information has to be preserved, because any student might come up and ask any query regarding his admission, regarding his memo, regarding that candidate's pass marks, or anything such that. So with that, what happens? If the organization or the university has to preserve all the records, whereby to have a clear understanding, to have a clear information about the information. Then the last one in the records management steps is review and weeding. Review means the whatever information they have to thorough go around once. Viewing means going around again and again. Means again and again. So when an information has to be given to the students, it has to be reviewed again. And weeding is discarding the old information, discarding the passed out students' information who have passed out 10 years or 15 years, and keeping that record aside and not keeping it in the regular records. Why? Because if the regular records have the information of the passed out students 10 years back, 15 years back also, then there will be a chaos. The present system, the present academic year students might not get the rightful information at the right time because of the huge number. From there, they have to search their number. So this can be a cumbersome procedure to be done. So the records have to be discarded whenever there is a necessary time. This can be the record management. So what is record management? Record management is the transfer of the vast bulk of correspondence and other type of documents which one are created or received and are somebody is asking me about the uh, review. Should I explain you about the review and weeding? So review and weeding. Once again, I'm repeating. Review means again. What do we understand by the term re? Re means again and again. Viewing means checking. So reviewing means checking again and again. That can be termed as reviewing. And weeding means that is discarding the information, the previous information, discarding of the previous information, the age-old information, and keeping it aside, which can be is known as weeding. Weeding is discarding, removing it from the regular stuff. Regular thing is discarding or weeding. Then we will move on to the next topic, that is Unit 9, Office Reports. Now, this office report, what do we understand by the term office reports? Now, all this comes under the communications of that is in the office. Now, office reports. Now, what do we understand by the term office reports? It is a statement. Now, what is a report? Now, if you have to understand it in the general term, we can say that it is a statement. It is a statement prepared to present facts relating to planning, performance, and goals in the state of administration. Once again, I am repeating. What is a report? Report is a statement prepared to present facts relating to planning, performance, and goals in the state of administration. Now, when we talk about an office, in an office, every year or every quarterly or half yearly or annually, a report will be prepared. Now, in one term, I'll explain you what is a report. Report is the summary. report is the summary of the work done in that organization. That can, so in simple terms, to remember, what is office report? Office report is the summary of that office which is being prepared, okay, quarterly, half yearly, or annually. So it is, what is a report is a summary of the information relating to this office. So what all the work done in that office for the time period, that summary has to be put in on paper. That can be termed as a report or an office report. So this office report is in the state of administration, and we can say that this helps the organization. This helps the organization to have a clear understanding, and to have a clear understanding and can have a clear information about what they have done, what the organization has done in the past, and it will give a clear picture what has to be done tomorrow. That is, if for example, if the organization has set a target, a goal to achieve in 3 months, and after 3 months, if it summarizes and prepares a report of what they have planned, how the performance was, and how much they have achieved, and if they prepare that report, they will understand, the organization will understand that where they were lagging, did they reach the target, or they have to reach the target. So they will get a clear picture in that 3 months, whether how much they have to strive for to receive to or to reach that target. That can be termed as an office report. Now, when we talk about this office reports, we have to classify it as well. The classification of office reports can be done in 4 aspects. The first one is direction, second is legality, third periodically or periodicity, and fourth is confidentiality. So, based on these 4 important aspects, office report is prepared. So, once again, I am repeating, the classification of office reports will be done on 4 important aspects. That is direction, second is legality, third is periodicity, fourth is confidentiality. Now, we'll try to understand one by one. The first one is direction. Direction is upward, downward, or sidewards. That is, upward means that is from down to that is upward means from down to upper. That is from the subordinates to the superordinates. When a summary report is being sent to the from the subordinate to the superordinate, that is one type of direction in the report. Upward is, that is, downward is from the subordinate to the superordinate to the subordinate. Now, orders, appointment order, that all can be, that is getting a performance report. All this from the performance appraisal. I have taken, somebody is asking me, there are 7 classifications. I have taken important ones, which are very important for the office to function. So, to name a few, I have taken the important ones. So, the direction is very, very important, because how the report has to be prepared from subordinates to the superordinates, or from the superordinates to the subordinates. So that can be one type of report, preparation of the report. And sidewards is, classification can be done through, report can be prepared through sidewards, that is between the colleagues, that is from the departments, compiling the information of the departments from the in an organization. The transfer of information sidewise, that is department to department, colleague to colleague, manager to manager, that can be done. Then the second one is legality. Based on the laws, based on the rules and regulations, the report has to be prepared. Otherwise, it may not be acknowledged, and somebody might raise questions. Somebody might say that this is beyond law, beyond rules and regulations. So, whatever report has to be prepared, it has to be prepared keeping in mind the rules and regulations and abiding by the laws of the organization as well. Then the third one is periodicity. Periodicity means periodically or periodicity. That is, a report can be prepared quarterly, half yearly, annually, no, weekly as well. Weekly means 1 week report, and quarterly 3 months, half yearly 6 months, annually 1 year. So each depending upon the size of the organization, depending upon the performance of the organization, based upon the number of employees working in the organization, all these are very, very important. So based on all these aspects, the organization decides that when it has to come up with the report. It can be weekly or quarterly, half yearly, and yearly as well. Then the last one is confidentiality. Confidentiality is, we see that how important that report is. How important that report is. Now, for example, the government reports. The government reports, the we can say that the government investigations, the government or police investigations, all this will not be disclosed to the public. The bilateral ties, the agreements between the countries, the confidential information between the security information between the two countries. These all information cannot be shared with one another easily. So there has to be some confidentiality which has to be maintained. So the confidentiality also plays a very, very important role in achieving the targets, in achieving the targets or in achieving the goals. Because now when we talk about this confidentiality, we can say that if there is a bit of confidential information we shared between two countries, and if the third person receives that information, then it will be a threat to two countries. Then it can be a threat to the two countries. So confidentiality of the report also plays a very, very important role. So later, after this classification, we will talk about the report preparation process. Report preparation process. Now, the report preparation. Now, reports cannot be prepared haphazardly, whoever wants to, however they want to. There is a system, there should be a systematical procedure which has to be followed to get the rightful information, and the rightful report has to be maintained and prepared. For that, there are few steps to be followed. The most important steps are collection of the data. First is collection of the data. Second is analysis of the data, then discussion, then presentation. Now, what is collection of the data? Collection of the data is information, gathering of information. Collection of the data means gathering of information, the rightful information we can say, or the now data whichever comes from various means, the data has to be collected and put at one place. That is termed as collection of data. Then the second one is analysis of the data. That is how much data is relevant. Now, every information might not be important. So, they have to, for preparation of the report, they have to analyze that is the intensity of the information, the confidentiality of the information, the purposeness of that information. All this has to be kept in mind that to analyze the data. Then after analyzing, there should be a discussion. That is discussion related to, that is in the discussion is where to the management or in a meeting, they have to put forward the data, whatever they have collected and analyzed, and they have to decide the authenticity, what they gathered, and they have to get the right system, get it into the right system. That is a discussion. Then the presentation. Presentation is putting forward the rightful information to everybody. Because if presentation, discussion is within the organization or within the system or between the management and the workers. But if presentation is coming out, showing everybody that this is the what going on in the organization. So before presenting, discussion has to be done, analyzing of the things has to be done, then only it can be presented. Because presentation help or gives the a clear picture about the organization or about it. It can be about the organization, it can be about a person, a system, a department, or anything such that. So the presentation is a very, very important one. So this is all about the office, the reports. Then we will move on to the last topic of our class today, that is forms management. The forms management. Now, what do we understand by the term form? Now, first, before talking about the form, we will just understand what is forms management. That is, we can say that the success of office management, the success of office management depends upon gathering and information for long range planning and policy making. That is, the success of office management, it depends upon the gathering of information for the long standing ones planning. That is, if an information is received, it has to be stored for further reference for long standing references. Then only the organizations can survive in a very, very better manner. Now, to do all this, firms management, to maintain the records, to go for a long planning, what is the most important one? For to perform all this, form is the as a piece of paper. We can say that form is an am I audible? Okay. So we can say that the form is a piece of paper. The form is a piece of paper containing fixed data and providing space for variable data. Once again, I am repeating, what is a form? Form can be defined as a piece of paper containing the fixed data and providing space for variable data. Now, I'll try to explain what is this. Now, this is here through the definition. we have used two words. Form is a piece of paper. Form is a piece of paper containing fixed data and providing space for the variable data. Now, for this, to explain this, I'll give you the perfect example of your application form for admission in the university. Now, that is a piece of paper, right? That is a piece of paper, means it contains 2 pages or 3 pages. That is termed as a piece of paper. In that, you have fixed data. What is the fixed data? A format that is name, father's name, your qualifications or age, the marital status, all this, address, these all is the fixed data. That is, it is been printed on it. And before, when a name is the, when a place is being provided, name means it is the fixed data. Now beside that name, there will be a space provided to the student to fill it, to the student to fill his name, the candidate's name. That is the variable data. So the form is a piece of paper which contains fixed data as well as the space provided to the variable data. So this can be a form. Now this form plays a very, very important role in the sharing of information, transferring of information, and as well as collecting of information. So this can be, now we can say that this form it is a tool of recording, communicating, receiving of information by certain prescribed format or prescribed persons. Now, now I have taken the example of the university. In this, the university comes out with an application form where you have to fill the information of yours. So the information is recorded by the university. That is, the information is received and information is being stored, communicated through you, and also by the prescribed persons, that is, you are a prescribed person and you are sharing the information with the university through the prescribed. So the university is also a prescribed one where they are having the authority to store your information. That can be termed as the form. So the form plays a very, very important role in the receiving of information. Then what are the important guidelines to be followed for this forms management? That is, first one is the size of the paper, size of the information, what the relevant information has to be given. Then the second one is data arrangement. We see in the form you have more space for the name, address, and all this, but you don't have more space for your marital status or whether you are male or female. All this, there will be a less space provided, but for the address there will be more space given. So that can be termed as data arrangement in the application form. Then information grouping. Information grouping is they'll be giving you whether they'll give you space provided to put just a tick mark. That is, whether you want to take admission in BA, BSc, BCom, that just to put a tick mark. That is information grouping. Then we have blank spaces. Blank spaces. That is, they give. If you remember your applications, you will see other qualifications, other information. That is, other than what they have asked you, if you have other information, you can fill in that. that is the other blank spaces. Then we have these are the most important one to be kept in mind when the form is being given to you. So based on these informations, the information is stored by the university. Then we have the last one, that is the importance of forms control. So we'll just raise a question. Is it necessary for the institutions or the organizations to maintain the records, to have the information and to maintain the forms management? Then we can say yes, it is very, very important, and as well as it is very, very necessary. Then for what reasons? That is, the first one is forms help in the forms help in the collecting of information, collecting information, and they also help in the record keeping, and also they help in the uniformity. That is, they help in the record keeping. That is, now if everybody keeps the records, sends the admission of application, fills in the application forms, then it will be easy for the university as well to maintain the record, and whenever there is a need, they can give the rightful information at the right time. So we can say that this information, the forms management, preparing of the forms and maintaining of the forms will automatically help the organizations to maintain the records. So to maintain the records, the forms should be precise and should be up to the mark to help the organizations to have a better facilities. So this is all about forms management. So in the today's class, I have discussed about the block 4 of the elective B paper, that is the in unit 7. I have discussed in block 4, unit 7 office communication and correspondence, unit 8 records management, unit 9 office reports, and as well as unit 10 forms management. So in this class we have discussed all these 4 topics. So this is all about today's class. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can come up or we shall end the class. Okay, thank you. We'll meet in the next class.